Hello, this is David William Weissner, and this is another episode of David Speaks. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my struggle with mental illness for my whole life and how it affected me and some of the things I went through. Um, this book, which is backward because of the camera, uh, is called Bipolar Disorder Through My Eyes, a Memoir of Hope. Okay, it came out last year. It's available on Amazon for anyone who would like to purchase a copy and see in depth things I went through. Um, my, I had pretty much a normal childhood, I think, for me anyway, as far as mental illness. I was an anxious child, very, um, not timid, but just full of anxiety. I was a wild child. I always did a lot of things, crazy stuff. I always got in trouble. I wasn't into school. I was into learning, but I was into just reading tons and tons and tons of books on my own. School I hated because it was too early in the morning. I hated getting up. I was a night person. And then at age 19, I decided to do acid with my friends. We were already heavily into alcohol and marijuana, and we decided to take the next step and go for acid, LSD. So for the summer of '89, we did LSD probably about 20 times over that whole 3 months. And by the end of the summer, uh, I had moved into a manic state of bipolar disorder. I was delusional. I was hearing voices. I was almost just terrible. I was seeing like auras around everybody and everything. Everything was lit up. There were like lights coming out of people. I was really sick, and I hadn't never been like that until I was 19 and then 20. Um, Acid is really a bad drug if you for everyone really. It did open me up to a lot of spiritual things because it is a hallucinogenic, but it destroyed my life in many ways. It made me disabled forever. And that is the true tragedy of my life. If you read this book, you'll see that I'm trying to turn this tragedy around because I'm trying to help people understand something. Okay, that God gives you a life for a reason, but you do have choices in this life and in every life. And what wisdom really is to me is to make good choices with your life, wise choices, steering you on a path toward positive things. That's why this is a memoir of hope. Okay, and my life has been hard. I've had many manic episodes, depressive episodes. So on the manic episodes, a lot of times, and this is a thing that happens to a lot of people, and most people who are homeless, I really believe have mental illness because nobody wants to be homeless, really. Only strange or maybe have a drug habit and their parents kick them out or they just lost touch with their wives. And um, I was homeless for years, okay? And it's coming from a nice middle class background. My parents had good city jobs. My father was a court stenographer. He made very good money. My mother was a school teacher for the UFT, United Federation of Teachers of New York. She was an employee of the city, and we had a nice house. We had two cars. There was never any doubt that I wouldn't have a place to live at some point. But because of my illness, I chose to leave my house and go different places. One was California. One time it was Florida, upstate New York, where I wanted to live all my life. Um, and then this is where these crises happened. When I was in California, in Venice, I didn't know anyone out there. I had no one to help me except my mother, who I would call every once in a while from somebody's cell phone. And we'd have an argument. She would tell me, "Go to the hospital, David, you're sick." And because of my sickness, you don't realize that you're sick. And that's really the strangest thing about what I found being mentally ill is that you don't realize it. And though everybody else does, because you're acting so um, crazily. But you don't realize it. You think it's them who's crazy. And this is really a terrible thing. So when I was homeless, I mean, I had to do horrible things. I had to eat out of garbage cans. Just think about that. Going to a public garbage can, rummaging through it, rummaging through, you have to curb your dog now. And everybody throws the shit in the public garbage in a bag. I had to rummage through those bags of shit looking for good food, like a half-eaten hamburger or something like that. And just think of that humiliation to do that in front of people who just would watch you and cringe. But I wanted to eat. I didn't give a shit about this humiliation because I wanted to eat. Okay. And then I had stops in jail, and I mean real stops in jail, because of like doing just crazy stuff. And when I was in Los Angeles County Jail for a year, for stealing, because I was trying to get money to eat. And that's a crazy place, man. Nobody wants to be there. I was in a place called Seven, and Seven is where they put the worst psychiatric patients, or they put you there for revenge. And I'm not kidding, man. I got into a fight with the psychiatrist because he wouldn't shake my hand. Okay? And listen, I was manic and crazy. I'm not saying I was right about it, but he wouldn't shake my hand, whatever. It happens. A lot of psychiatrists won't shake your hand. I don't know why. It's disrespectful. And I went crazy on him, screaming in his face. And they put me in a place called Seven. And Seven is a place I'll never forget. It was on the seventh floor of what we call the Twin Towers, Los Angeles County Jail. And it was a hell house for real. They first put you in there and they strip you naked. Okay, you have to take off all your clothes. There's no mattress in there. There's no toilet paper. There's no toothbrush. There's no nothing but you and a metal bed and cell and a door with nothing but a little window that can't be broken. I don't know if there was a window. Maybe it was just we could put your hand through to get food 3 times a day, and that's it. No snacks. The food was shit for real. Okay. And when I was in there for months, they let you shower like once a week eventually if they trusted you. But they would lock you in the shower down the hall, and it would be on cold. And this cold water would just come out if you wanted any water at all, and you just sit there. And they'd leave you there for hours. So I would take my cold shower because I wanted to be clean, and I would just lay on the floor for hours, and other people's dirt on the floor where their feet were, mental patients, criminals, whatever we were. It was unbelievable what I had to go through. And I was in other jails, like in Florida, where they railroaded me and gave me a felony, which fucked up my whole life, because they gave me a felony for reacting to I kicked open a door in a hotel because I wanted to sleep. Okay, and they charged me with 3 counts of burglary, and they railroaded me. And I never saw a lawyer for about 45 days. I was in there. Crazy shit happened. This is a short show. Get my book. No, I'm not just trying to be a salesman here. I'm trying to tell you something. There's some very fucked up stuff in there. What happened to me? Okay. And maybe all of this could have been avoided if I never did the acid. Which can push you into a psychotic episode, which I was. And the depressive episodes too was so bad. When I was 19 and I came home from college after my first term, I tried to kill myself because I thought my life was over at 19. Okay. But I'm 55 now, and I've been through things that were way, way worse than I've ever been through at 19. And it doesn't matter. You know why? Life is a gift. Okay? And even though I just had a bad breakdown in the last couple of years because when my cats died, I had to put them to sleep in the same year, my 14-year-old cats. and I had to hold him in my arms while the doctor injected a lethal dose of anesthesia into them. And these cats were like my babies, okay? And to watch the two of them die in my arms was so traumatic to my brain that it pushed off my illness. And I lost my mind again for like a year, okay? Until I was able to stabilize on the right medication. This mental illness is no joke, and there's such a stigma about it. Mentally ill people are not more violent than anyone else. Mostly they're scared and need help. Okay? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But I do believe there is a reason for my life. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book. To help other people understand something. You can still have a life with mental illness. You might have to struggle, you might have pain. Take your medication. These medications, they do have a lot of side effects. But they're coming out with new ones too. But it can change your life. It's changed mine. I feel well now. I feel content. I'm not angry at God at all. Because the things I learned going through all this can never be taken away from me by anything. I've learned gratefulness. I live in this beautiful house in New Jersey. I have a nice car. It's an old car. It's in perfect shape. It's a beautiful car. I have my family. My mother is still alive at 83. There's so many things. After all I've been through, it has given me such a gratefulness. I don't take anything for granted ever again. Okay, and there's so many little things in life we take for granted. Just having a toilet. You know, when I was on Venice Beach, if I had to go crap, it was hard to. You have to go to a restaurant or a bar or the seven or the, wherever you can go. It's hard. They have bathrooms. They did have bathrooms when they were open during the day, but just be grateful for what you have. Okay, don't do acid. Don't do any drugs or alcohol. You don't need that stuff. You just need a good friend, or a good lover, or a good shrink to talk to. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. I'll hold you up the book again. It's Bipolar Disorder Through My Eyes, A Memoir of Hope by David William Weissner. Everything in here is true. Okay? I've been through some shitty things, man, but I've been through some great things too. I've had friends, I've had lovers, I have beautiful projects I worked on in my garden and my cooking and my old muscle car from the 60s, and animals, pets, dogs, fish, and just it's been a feast of friends for real. There are lows and highs, but this is life. Live it. Okay, and be grateful, please. All right, have a great night. Love to you all.